Welcome back to the Detailing Business channel. Today is a cold and rainy day. I got the day off, so what a great time to answer a question that I had several videos ago. It was in the RV video. But the question was, what do I do about water spots? It appeared in that video that I just rinsed it off and let it dry. Well, I did. The reason is because the water I use is 100% spot free. And I don't use any type of RO filter, reverse osmosis filter of any kind. I don't use any kind of water softener or anything like that. What I do use is Mother Nature. Honestly, rainwater is the best spot-free water you could ever use for washing a vehicle. The problem is, how do you capture that water without getting leaves and all that debris in your water tank? If you've ever collected rainwater, you know that's a big issue. One thing I do have is gutter guards. That does help keep out the big leaves, but you still get these little fine debris. Also, if you've ever collected rainwater, let's say you just want to run a downspout into a tank. What do you do when the tank's full? It's going to overflow and you're going to have a big river. And every time you go to access that water, you're going to be standing in water. You know, it's not ideal. Wouldn't it be nice if we could only fill that tank when we want to? And once it's full, it'd be done. You never have to worry about it overflowing or anything like that. I think this is probably the most genius invention that I've ever built. Okay, here's my contraption. There's two major components to this contraption. The first component is underground. Underground here is a sump pump basin. It's 18 by 36 inches deep, I believe. And inside that sump pump basin is the sump pump with a float switch. On the corner of the house, I have two downspouts which go into a storm drain tile that drains into a city tile in the middle of the yard here. Basically, I just cut that storm drain tile and sunk the sump pump pit in between them. I'll explain that later. All this will be diagrammed in the end of the video, so it makes more sense on paper. The second part to it is the plumbing and the holding tank. The idea is to fill this tank, and then once it's full, it doesn't fill anymore. This is a 275-gallon IBC tote. You could pretty much find them anywhere on Craigslist. I just happen to have a farmer down the road that has these stockpiled, and he pretty much gives them away. I painted it black because the sunshine on these totes will turn the water green and nasty. If you paint them black, the sun can't get to them. Ran some masking tape up before I painted it so that I could see the level of the water. Make sense? Most people would just take their gutter right straight into the holding tank, but then you'll collect all the leaves and debris from the gutters into your tank, and your tank will turn nasty and have leaves in the bottom of it and start stinking. You don't want that. I want to separate all that debris from this tank right here. So when it rains, that sump pump basin fills up, it trips that switch, and then it kicks the pump on and starts filling this tank. The pump pumps the water up through here. There's a check valve here so that it doesn't backfeed back into the basin. There's a filter here to filter out any of the little debris, the whirligigs and whatever, down into the big tank. So the question is, what do you do when it's raining all day and your tank is full? Well, I don't want water spilling out everywhere and running a big river down the grass. So inside this tank is another float switch. I'll put a link, an Amazon link in the description, which runs down, and temporarily I made a little junction here. Eventually this will all be watertight and whatever. But basically there's a junction right here. It's wired like a switch. Here's a wiring diagram of that junction I showed you. You got your 120 here, You've got your float switch that's in the holding tank, and you've got your sump pump that's in the basin. Your 120 is black, white, and green for ground. Black is hot, white is neutral. You've got your sump pump over here, same wiring pattern, black, white, green. Hot is black. It has a float switch over here that when the float rises, it kicks the pump on. Then you got your float switch over here that's in the holding tank. It does just the opposite of this float switch. When the float rises, it shuts it off. So this float switch has 3 wires, your hot wire, which is black, and then a brown wire and a blue wire. The brown wire would be wiring like this float switch. When the water level rises, it kicks a pump on. We have it wired with the blue wire so that when the float rises, it kicks off. So black wire into the black wire of the float switch, and then blue wire to the black wire of the sump pump. Now, how do you get water out of the tank? Well, this is a jet pump, I guess you'd call it, or whatever, transfer pump. This all sits here permanently connected. Whenever I want to get water out of it, I turn that valve on, I plug that pump in, and I run my hose to my tank in my truck. It goes through a whole house filter to filter out any kind of debris. Goes through the hose there, and then I've got a little RV filter on the end of that just to get any last little debris. So there it is. We'll wait till it kicks on here again. It's raining pretty good, so it shouldn't be too long. There it is, kicked on again. This right here is really handy. If you get all this debris down in here, you can just release that valve and drain it all out. This filter gets clogged up and it'll turn green because it's exposed to the sunshine. So just once in a while, open it up, take it out, hit it with the power washer there, and it'll be like brand new again. Oh, there it goes. We're only going to get about a half cycle here. It might spurt out the top there, but then the float switch will kick off. There it goes, there it goes. Float switch is going to kick right now. And that's it. It's done. Probably ought to adjust my float switch down a little bit, but it is full and it won't kick on anymore. Filled to the brim. Okay, here's a diagram of everything I showed you outside. Water comes down the downspout, goes into that 4-inch PVC, drains into the sump basin. There's a sump pump down here with a float switch. When the water rises, it kicks the pump on, pumps through this check valve, over through the sediment filter, and down into the holding tank. Water fills up the holding tank, and when the tank is full, it rises this float switch, which is an off switch wired to the sump pump. So when the tank is full, it shuts the sump pump off. When the sump pump's off, it allows the water to rise up until it reaches the outlet, and then it just goes on. Then it becomes just a straight line pipe, basically, with a basin in the middle, a flow through basin. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll put all the links in the description that I can find of the parts, the pumps, the switches, and all that I used. After the end of the day, I usually come home and I fill my tank. The tank in my rig is 50 gallon. I probably use about 40 gallon of that in a day. So every day I come home and I fill my tank, just hook that hose up, fill her up, watch it. When it gets close to being full, I shut her down. And I'm telling you, it is the most spot-free water you could ever use. I could actually rinse a vehicle and walk away and it'll be 100% spot-free, but Typically, I'll dry the vehicle with a drying towel, and you don't have to worry about any spots or streaks or anything like that. Hey, if you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps to grow the channel. I have a whole bunch of videos for you to go through, and I have more to come, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss them.